In an air-conditioned office, one woman quietly slides a wrapped sanitary pad across the desk to another. It disappears beneath her hand. But the system behind it is much larger. A disposable pad combines an absorbent core, a leak-resistant backing, and adhesive that fixes it to underwear. Nearby, there is usually a private toilet, water and soap, and somewhere to discard it. When it needs changing, another is already waiting. Now remove the packet. Remove the underwear designed to hold it. Remove the private toilet, the tap, the soap, and the waste system. Remove the factories, transport, and shops that keep replacements within reach. The bleeding remains. Almost everything modern built around it is gone. More than 30,000 years ago, people repeatedly occupied Dzudzuana Cave in the southern foothills of the Caucasus, in what is now Georgia. Its layers preserve tools, animal remains, ornaments, and tiny processed plant fibers identified by the original researchers as wild flax. Some had been spun, dyed, or knotted. Now place one ordinary event inside that setting. A girl notices blood for the first time. No excavation can identify that particular girl. But the problem was real. With no lockable bathroom or disposable products, any solution had to come from the group's own materials, tools, and knowledge. And absorption was only the beginning. Whatever she used also had to remain in place while she walked, bent, squatted, and worked. So, how did Stone Age women handle their periods without pads or modern privacy? First, how old might this girl have been? A modern viewer may picture a 12-year-old. The limited Upper Paleolithic evidence leaves room for a later first period. Puberty and menstruation are not the same event. A study of 13 Upper Paleolithic adolescents found puberty beginning by about 13 and a half in most. The female sample was tiny, but in the individuals that could be assessed, the researchers found no clear sign that menstruation had begun before roughly 16 or 17. That does not give us the age of any girl at Dzudzuana. Nutrition, illness, workload, genetics, and individual development could all shift the timing. For this reconstruction, an older teenager is at least as defensible as automatically imagining a modern 12-year-old. She may already have spent years watching people prepare fibers, clothing, and other soft materials. The blood may have been new to her. The solution probably was not new to the group. But there is a problem. Soft technology rarely survives. Stone and bone can remain for tens of thousands of years. Grass, moss, plant fiber, and untreated hide usually disappear unless conditions are unusually favorable. At Abridumaras, a tiny cord fragment survived on a stone flake, possibly helped by mineral deposits. Finds like that are rare. So the absence of a prehistoric menstrual object does not prove that women used nothing, nor does it prove a moss pad, a flax pad, or a hide pad. Dzudzuana gives us something narrower, evidence that people there could work flexible plant material. That establishes ability, not menstrual use. So what did that work actually involve? Start with flax, or another plant that produces bast fiber. The useful fibers run through the outer part of the stem around a woody core. Separating them takes time. There was no single recipe. Stems might be dried, soaked, or left damp to weaken the substances binding fiber to wood. They could then be bent, beaten, or scraped, leaving ribbons that were cleaned and divided into finer bundles. Long fibers could be overlapped or spliced. Looser bundles could be twisted into thread, then plied in the opposite direction so the cord resisted unraveling. No metal, no machine, just plant tissue, friction, tension, and a considerable amount of patient handwork. And every strip used for body care was time not spent making a net, repairing clothing, or preparing another tool. The surviving fibers do not preserve that entire production chain. But spun and knotted examples show that at least part of the knowledge existed. And that matters because loose absorbent material has a serious weakness. It moves. A bundle that slips away from the body is of limited use. So any practical solution had to keep material close enough to work. One plausible system separated two jobs, a replaceable inner layer and a stronger support. No menstrual belt survives, so the design is unknown. But the necessary skills existed. Cord could be tied, hide could be cut and perforated. Wrapped clothing could press a softer bundle against the body. Knots and loops could tighten or reopen the support. Whatever the arrangement, it had to limit slipping, tolerate movement, and reopen when the wet material needed changing. A design that worked while sitting beside the fire could fail after an hour of climbing, carrying, and squatting. Modern pads solve this with adhesive and fitted underwear. Prehistoric people had to solve the same mechanical problem with simpler materials. But what went inside the holder? The honest answer is that no single universal material can be named. Processed plant fiber could be folded or layered. Fine grass, shredded inner bark, or loose bast fiber might also work after cleaning and softening. But usefulness varied by species and preparation. Coarse stems scratched, loose material shifted, and poor bundles leaked. Hide may have worked better as a reusable support or outer barrier than as the replaceable inner layer. And moss, the internet's favorite answer, is only a possibility. Some sphagnum species hold large amounts of water and were used much later in wound dressings, but they grow in particular wet habitats, and no menstrual use has been identified at Dzudzuana. Technically interesting is not the same as archaeologically proven. The best material differed by landscape. It had to be soft, available, replaceable, and compatible with its support. Then came the less glamorous part, maintenance. As the inner layer became wetter, it would become less effective and more likely to shift, leak, or rub. Another usable layer had to be available before the first failed. How replacements were carried, or whether material was discarded or reused, remains unknown. That depended on abundance and labor. A common plant bundle might be discarded. A labor-intensive fiber layer might be cleaned. Bloodied supports also needed attention. The material solved one period. Preparation solved the next. Anything reused had to be cleaned as circumstances allowed, separated, and dried before storage or contact with the body again. So the real technology was not one object. It was a cycle. Prepare, secure, replace, clean if reused, dry, then prepare again. And a girl could not learn that entire cycle from a bundle of fiber. A bundle does not explain how much to use. A cord does not show how tightly to tie it. Blood alone does not explain what is happening. Trial and error teaches something. Observation, participation, correction, and instruction teach a multi-step skill faster. We cannot identify who taught girls at Dzudzuana, and no ritual or formal institution survives in the archaeological record. The stronger conclusion is simpler. People who had already managed the problem could help someone facing it for the first time. They could pass on how to prepare, secure, replace, and reuse local materials. By morning, one bundle might be gone, another washed, and a support drying near the shelter. The object could disappear within a season. The method could survive for generations. Now, return to the office. The wrapped pad looks like one invention. In reality, it hides an entire support system inside a disposable object. Its core hides the work of preparing absorbent material. Adhesive and underwear hold it in place. The packet keeps the next one ready. A bathroom, water, soap, and waste system make changing cleaner and more discreet. Stone Age women had none of that convenience. We cannot identify one perfect prehistoric pad or reconstruct the exact design used at Dzudzuana. But the practical problems are clear. Blood had to be received or contained. The material had to remain close to the body. A wet layer had to be removed. Anything reused had to be made usable again, and the method had to be learned. So how did Stone Age women handle their periods? The most likely answer is a changing combination of local soft materials, simple supports, repeated replacement or maintenance, and knowledge passed on by people who had already solved the same problem. The disposable pad is modern. The problems it solves are ancient, and while the objects disappeared, the most durable part of the technology may have been the methadone-experienced person showing another what to do.